Okay, I'm going to read the 4 3s. Be truthful, be honest, be kind, always remain curious, always be responsible, always keep learning. Be on time, do what you say please and thank you. Love God, love your family, love other people. Good morning and happy Thursday, guys. Today, I'm going to talk about what we talked about yesterday with the channel leaders. It's all about attitude. I heard this and it's a fact. Attitude has a greater impact on your success than your IQ, okay? Doesn't matter how smart you are, attitude will get you further than your IQ level. There's somebody really intelligent with a bad attitude, you could actually beat them. Where does attitude come from? I believe attitude comes from the inside out, because if you have a good attitude, it's coming from the inside. That means that you're looking at things good. I'm going to use one of our values that I actually talk about a lot, the value of faith. The second sentence on faith says, everything that happens to us happens for a reason greater than us, and therefore we welcome all experiences, knowing that greater success lies ahead in them. So I want to talk about this because I think this is an attitude quote, even though, greater is with a G, because we believe that there's a greater God out there and that he wants us to succeed. I think that none of us are exempt from anything bad happening to us. We all have that in common, right? That none of us are exempt. Bad things happen to good people. Bad things happen to everybody. But it's our attitude about what happens that determines our success. So I'll give you an example, right? Here's a quick story about my past. So when I was 17, my dad fell down and he died right in front of me, right? He had a massive heart attack. He fell down, he died right in front of me. It was actually exactly 29 years ago, because it happened in May. And I was 17, and that was the most dramatic, most life-changing thing that's ever happened to me. And my attitude back then, not knowing that good is going to come out of this ultimately, I felt really angry. I felt depressed. Why me? For a time, I really couldn't even get out of the house. I couldn't even go back to high school because I was a senior in high school, and it was towards the tail end. I couldn't even go back to school, to pass classes and graduate. I ended up dropping out because of that, and I never went back to school. That was it. May 20, I got out of school and I never went back and I never graduated. At the time, that was a really bad circumstance for me, but over time, it's really shaped my life. And this is where I look at this quote, everything that happens to us happens for a reason greater with a capital G, because I believe that, what happened to him ended up setting me up for success, because now, because of what happened to him, I take care of my health. I'm actually the same age as my dad was when he died 29 years ago. I'm exactly the same age. I go to the doctor every year. I check my heart because heart disease is in our family. I spend extra time with my kids. I have 2 boys like my dad did. I do everything I can to be there, and my boys became my purpose. Because I lost my dad, now my attitude is my dad sacrificed for me, so I have to make my life better, and I have to do more to be here for my kids. Attitude comes everywhere, guys. In the beginning, I didn't really understand how attitude was the key to success. A lot of times when bad things happen, I would get sour, I would get upset, I would react instead of responding. And today, because my attitude has changed over everything that's happening to me, because like I said, bad things happen to everybody, right? My attitude is, how do I respond to this? Not react, okay, but how do I respond? What are the changes I need to make? What are the lessons I've learned from this bad thing? And what is it I could do to better myself so I could keep going, right? And let me tell you a story about a guy that has a great attitude. Ron's right here with me, and one day we were talking, and I don't know what we were talking about, but we were talking about numbers or something, and he goes, yeah, we just can't seem to get yeses right now. And I was talking to Juan, and he called me up and he said he got all of his no's out of the way, and today all the yeses are lined up. Now, that's a great attitude, because I've talked to guys that are missing, okay? They get 3-4 jobs that they can't sell, and their attitude turns, and they look for blaming somebody, right? Now it's because the call is no good, or because the customers are no good, or we don't have enough calls, and all of this gibberish stuff, right? Looking at blaming other people because customers are saying no, right? And what is your attitude when you don't always come across big jobs? Are you going, hey, great, I got the no out of the way, now it's time to get a yes? Or are you looking at it and looking for somebody to blame? Because some of us are looking for people to blame. And instead of looking at the guy in the mirror to go, what can I do better? How can I get better? What did I learn from this no? We're looking at, who is it to blame? Whose fault is it that I couldn't get a sale today? Whose fault is it that my paycheck isn't what I want it to be this week? Okay. And I'll tell you, if you are looking outside to blame somebody, you will never, ever change those numbers. You'll never get better. You're always going to look at blaming somebody. Here's an airplane analogy that I learned from a podcast I was listening to. Every airplane has an instrument on it called the attitude indicator. On every airplane, there's this instrument called the attitude indicator. And it shows the level of the plane in the horizon. So when the plane is up in the air, it'll show if the plane is, the nose is up, the nose is down, and it's called the attitude indicator, right? So if the pilot wants the plane to go up, it tilts the attitude indicator up and the plane goes up, right? And the attitude indicator shows that the plane is actually ascending, going up. If it wants to have it come down, it tilts it down and it comes down. Just like the attitude indicator on a plane, we're the same. Life is the same way. When our nose is down, when our head is down, our numbers are going to follow our head. Our numbers are going to follow. If we're depressed, if we have things going on, problems at home or whatever it is, we're going to come back. Our attitude is going to affect how we are at work, right? You know, I love this story because I was with a guy. So one day I was riding with this guy a long time ago, and he was a really good technician. I mean, this guy would walk out every single job, no kidding, apartment call for an angle stop leaking. He'd go in there, he'd walk out with, replacing every angle stop in that unit or in that building. I mean, he would come out with $2,000-$3,000 on every ticket. It didn't matter what the call was. He would come out $2,000-$3,000, right? Guy was really good. So I was riding with him one day, and we get out of we park in front of this apartment building. Actually, it was a condominium. We parked in front of it. And we got out. I got out from the passenger side and met him in the back because he would put a cone in the back of the van, which you guys should all be doing so nobody hits the truck. Should have an orange cone. So he opened the back, took the orange cone, put it on the left side. He had already folded his mirror. And then when he closed the back door, back then we used to carry a briefcase into the house. It was our snap packs, everything would go in there. When he picked that up, he tapped the bumper with his hand, right? He tapped the bumper and then went to the front door, and then we greeted the client. We went in, we walked out of there. Again, $3,000. We replaced a bunch of angle stops, changed the kitchen faucet, did a bunch of work inside, right? We walked out, we go back to the back bumper, and he opens the door, puts the cone back in, and then he taps the bumper again. And we get in the van. I go, dude, what was that tapping the bumper all about? And he goes, John, I got some issues at home. I'm having some problems with my wife. And, every time I go to a call, I leave the problems at the bumper, right? I tap the bumper. I leave the problems there. I go in there. My mind is clear 100%. I give the customer 100% focus. I forget about everything. And that's the reason why my ticket average is high, because the more time I spend in that house, the less I have to be driving around thinking about these problems I'm having at home. Because when I'm with the client, I forget about all of that. So his attitude is, yeah, he's got problems, but his problems are not affecting his performance. And it's all because he understands that leaving the problems at the bumper, and it's going to be there when you come back. Believe me, you come back, you're going to pick those problems right back up. Drive into the next call, you could think about it. But when you're with that customer, and when he's with that customer, this guy was knocking it out of the ballpark because his attitude was, I'm going to give the customer 100%. I'm not going to let my problems affect my performance. So let me ask you, what is your attitude like? Are you kind? Are you a good person to be around? Is your attitude one that says, I love what I do. I love this trade. I can't wait to get out there and crush it. Or are you complaining when you get a call dispatched to you? Are you going, oh, shoot, this guy, I know there's no money out there. I'm headed out to this call. Oh, man, God, I'm just going to go get rid of this because, go wait for the next call. Or are you going, hey, time to make money. Let's go. I'm going to go do my best out there. I'm going to give this customer 100%. I'm going to turn the 5 keys on this call. I'm going to turn the 5 keys, and I'm also going to, get my channel out there. And we're going to make money. We're going to make money on every single call because your attitude will determine your altitude, guys. Just like that indicator, okay, the attitude indicator in the airplane, your attitude, okay, will determine your altitude. If your attitude is bad, okay, your altitude is going to be bad. You're not going to your numbers are not going to go up there. I'll tell you that. We recently had a guy that quit. He's left and we brought him back. I mean, we got this forgiveness thing at the company, where we forgive people and we bring them back. Unfortunately, wherever they go, their attitude follows them. Even though we think they've changed, they come back and they do the same stuff. And this guy was just plain old lazy. I mean, he just didn't want to get out to calls. That was the problem. So he left, and his whole thing was that my manager is giving me all the bad calls. The other team gets all the good calls. We're destined to fail. Everything you could think about. The calls, the dispatcher, the manager, the other team, nothing to do with him. He's perfect, right? Everything around him is sour, but he's perfect, right? Complaint after complaint. Did not ever take any responsibility over his performance and said he's going somewhere else. I said, just make sure you change your attitude when you get there. Because in the beginning, you might be a little excited and you might see a little bit of a lift in numbers, but you're going to fall back to where you were. Because wherever you go, there you are. It's not this organization. It's not the customer you're in front of. It's you, okay? If you don't change your attitude, nothing around you is going to change. Okay, here's the good news, though, guys. All you have to do to make your life happier and progress and go faster is lift the nose up. Put your head up and have a good attitude. Even when things are bad, look at it and go, what can I learn from what just happened? What can I do better? How can I get better in order for my results to change? Yeah, I do something called filling out a proactive gratitude. And back in my journal, okay, I've got this thing where I fill out my gratitudes every day. Every day I write down 3 gratitudes. What am I grateful for? Why am I grateful? What kind of further progress am I going to make? And what is my first action on this gratitude? It's called proactive gratitude. It's when you appreciate something and you do something about it to create more. Right? When you're grateful about something and you're like, I want more of this, so I'm going to go out and do something to bring more of this in. So I do that every day. And in my opinion, the proactive gratitude will actually change your attitude. You see the word gratitude and attitude, the only thing missing there is the G, right? On attitude. So I think if you have gratitude in your life, if you appreciate this company, the brand that it represents, if you appreciate your trade, if you appreciate what you're doing, you appreciate your manager, you appreciate your customer, you appreciate, the dispatcher and the LC and everybody around you, your fellow team members, everybody around you. If you appreciate them, right? If you appreciate them rather than looking at them and having gratitude, your results are going to change. Your life is going to be happier because opposite of gratitude, okay, is envy. Gratitude comes from the inside. Attitude comes from the inside. Envy comes from the outside. It's when you're looking out and comparing yourself with somebody else and going, how come they have that and I don't have that? How come they're driving that car and I'm not driving it? How come, so-and-so is doing this and I can't do this, right? If you compare yourself with other people, it's a guaranteed you're lining yourself up for failure, for sadness, perhaps even suicide. Because some of the people that are really, really depressed, right, are really comparing themselves up against other people all the time. Instead of looking at what they have, they're measuring what they don't have. Instead of going, I have this and I'm grateful for it. I have a roof over my head and I'm grateful. I have, a woman that's with me, my wife. I'm grateful for her. They're looking outside and going, why am I with this person? Why isn't there somebody better for me? Change your attitude, guys. They're doing the same thing. Actually, a lot of us are doing the same thing with where we're working. That's why we keep job hopping, okay? Because we don't appreciate the company and what it's doing for us. And all we're doing is going out there looking for another company that might do something different. And no one's going to do any different, guys. Again, like I said, wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. You're going to show up everywhere. Ask yourself, what is my attitude like? Am I looking at myself on how I could get better so that things in my life could change? Or am I looking at somebody to blame the circumstance on? I'm going to blame my parents. I'm going to blame, where I grew up. I'm going to blame my friends, right? That's where attitude is, guys. If you're being held back, if you're having difficulties in your life, take a look at the guy in the mirror and ask yourself, what can I do better? Let me give you a little quick secret about, things that I've done to change my attitude. When I had problems in my marriage, I would go get relationship audiobooks and listen to it. I listened to many of those because I've had many problems. I never went to school about how to become a good husband. So I had to educate myself. When things were bad at home, I would get audiobooks. I would figure out what I need to do to become better myself so I could show up better, right? In the beginning, I would blame my wife, but then I figured out that, look, if I want her to change, I got to change the way I am. And if I change myself permanently and I'm not pretending or acting, because women could see through men like that, when you change temporarily, they could tell, right? So I had to change permanently. I got a bunch of books. I still have them on my shelf now. If things go bad, I'm going to go pick up those books and listen to them. When I felt like I wasn't being a good dad to my kid, I was reading books about how to become a great dad to their kids. When I felt like I wasn't, spending enough time with them or showing up, it's not the amount of time you spend with your family, it's the quality impact you make the time that you're there. Just like a customer and a call. You could be on a call for an entire day and walk out with no money, but you could be there in 2 hours and sell a $30,000 job and walk out. It's the quality of the time you're spending with that customer and with the person that is at home that matters. It's not the quantity of time, because some of us will hit a big check, and I've seen this happen, and you guys that are listening, some of you are there. You'll hit a big check, and all of a sudden for 3 weeks, you'll have minimums. For 3 weeks, you'll have minimums. You know why? Because you're resting on that one big check going, wow, this was good. And then you show up to work when the bank account's zero. Now you're like, okay, now I got to go start working again. Why do that? Why not just give it 100% on every single call, and every week pile it up, put it in the bank, save the money, go buy the wife, go shopping with her, buy her something. Why not do it all the time? Some of us are hitting a big check, and then 3 weeks we're flopping. And then at the end of the month, we're hitting minimum numbers. Guys, this is all an attitude thing. It's how you show up. It's what you're doing when you're going out there. So let's remember that our attitude is going to indicate how much money we're going to make. So next time somebody says something to you that you might feel offended by, are you going to react or are you going to respond? And here's the difference, guys. And I'm going to use this analogy. When we take bad medicine, right, what happens to us? If we take something that's not good, our body is not responding. Our body needs something, right? We need to heal, but we take something and it doesn't work. We break out into rashes. Our body reacts to the medicine because it wasn't good. But if we take something and it works, what happens is we start healing and our body responds to the medicine. So this is the exact same thing. When you are at a situation where somebody said something to you, you're thinking about either responding or reacting. Responding is saying something hurtful back at them, trying to figure out, okay, an eye for an eye. You're going to hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. Or are you saying, God, what did I do to make this person do or say what they said? And what can I do differently later on to actually get a different response from them? And this is where you have control. The other way, you don't have control. You're just a victim. And none of us want to be a victim. Here's the final story, guys. I heard this from Joel Osteen. So there was this couple that moved into a neighborhood. And every morning when the lady would make breakfast for her husband, she would look out the window and she would see her neighbor hanging laundry outside to dry. But the laundry was dirty. She'd look at the laundry and the laundry was dirty. The whole clothes were dirty. So she'd call her husband and go, can't believe our neighbors just wash the clothes, but they're still dirty and they're hanging out to dry. Okay. Next day, or next week, I guess, the lady does laundry every week. Again, Saturday morning, doing laundry, the lady's doing laundry. She's making breakfast for her husband, looks out the window, says, there you go again, that this neighbor of ours either doesn't have detergent or doesn't know how to do laundry because they have dirty clothes hanging out to dry. The week after again, she wakes up and making breakfast for her husband and looks out the window, and this time the laundry's clean, and calls her husband and says, hey, honey, come by. I want to show you something. Look at that. Our neighbor finally figured out how to do laundry. The clothes are clean now. Okay. And the husband said, honey, I woke up early this morning and I cleaned the windows. So it wasn't that the neighbor had dirty laundry. It's that they had dirty windows. The windows they were looking out of was dirty. There was dirt on there. So it looked like the laundry was dirty. So how is our windows? Okay. And the windows I'm talking about is our eyes. Okay. Because the eyes are the windows to the soul. And how is our windows? When we're looking out, are we looking out to blame and react? Or are we looking out and seeing the good that's happening? Because you got to look at the good, guys. And when bad happens, you got to look for the good in the bad. I know it's hard to do, but you got to look for the good in the bad. I'm going to say that again. You got to look for the good in the bad. Because for every bad circumstance, something good eventually happens. Just like my dad's death at 17, the story I used earlier today, to me that was bad, but what happened to me today is good. And I feel like my dad sacrificed his life to make mine better, so I'm very grateful for the 17 years I had to spend with him. He taught me work ethic. He works 6 days a week. nonstop. I'd only have Sundays with him. That one day a week, I learned more in that one day a week than a lot of us do spending maybe 4 or 5 days, because we're not spending quality. And him being out working, to me and my brother, it taught us work ethic. Today, I work on Sundays. I work Saturdays. Every Sunday, I spend 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes preparing for my week, preparing for meetings, preparing for this. Why do I do that? My kids look at me every morning. They wake up and they're walking down to go to school. They see their dad reading a book, journaling. One day, my son came in and said, "Dad, what are you doing?" It's 6:30 in the morning. I go, "I'm journaling. I'm writing my gratitudes." He sat down and read the gratitudes with me. They're learning more seeing what I'm doing like I did. I learned more looking at my dad and seeing what he's doing than hearing what he had to say. So what are we doing to be good examples, to our families and the people around us? So I'm going to leave it with that, guys. Yeah, I appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing out there. Get your channel leaders to the calls. Turn to 5 keys. Give it 100% on every call. Make sure you get a good review from every customer. I need you guys to take some videos of customers and send it to me, 30-second videos. I asked all the channel leaders to do it. We need to pile it up. I need about 100 videos within the next couple weeks. So this is how you do it. Take your iPhone or Android or whatever kind of phone you got. Even if you want to do it with the iPad, do it with the iPad, right? So you turn it sideways, you turn on the video, you ask the client to stand next to the van, right? Where you could see our company logo behind the client. A clean van, yeah. Make sure you wipe down the side that you're going to be videoing, all right? And have the client ask them one question. What was your experience like dealing with Rooter Hero? Just ask that question, hit the record button, and let the customer talk. And 30 seconds. If they go too long, just tell them, hey, just a quick, short video testimonial about your experience with me. If you're happy with my service, Mrs. Jones, please, I want to let other customers know. Then keep those videos, send it to me, but keep it in your iPad. Because when you're with another customer and you're out there diagnosing the problem, what I want you to do is I want you to turn your iPad around, give it to the customer. While you're diagnosing, have her watch some of the videos from other customers. You want to increase your average ticket? Start piling up videos, guys, in your iPad and start playing it for other customers. This is what's going to get them to want to do service with you. While I'm getting my equipment out of my truck, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to play a couple videos for you. Would you mind? And you turn it on, give it to them, and go do it. And make sure you don't have any craziness, in your picture book over there. Because when that video finishes, that customer might just flip through and look at other pictures and videos, right? So make sure that your iPad only has testimonials and job site pictures and stuff like that in there, okay? All right, guys, please send me those videos, okay? We really need as many videos as possible for us to put it on social media, get you guys more calls, and also for you to close more jobs out there. So let me just go ahead and read the blessing real quick. May the roads rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine soft upon your face, and may the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.